What's up, guys?
How's fight week going for you?
I'd say it's probably going as good as any fighter can expect. So it's going smooth. Not the funnest time of the process, but it's going smooth.
What do you think of this weather out here? Is this helping you cut weight or?
Yeah, man. I don't know how you guys do it. It's pretty hot outside, and I heard last week it was even hotter.
Yeah, it was 120 last week.
So what do you guys do? Do you guys just like live in the water, or
We just don't leave our
stay in the
homes.
You got that AC on full blast, man.
Yeah, our electric bills are insane here.
Dude, it's hot outside.
Yeah.
Y'all crazy.
Are
I'm from the desert too, but it's not like that.
When it's this hot outside, can you go running? Like, is it? I don't know what your normal weight cut procedure is, but is it any kind of outdoor activity that you're like, well, now I have to do something different?
Yeah, I mean, I love to run anyway, so I can probably go out and run anyways, but it definitely would be really hot. And then I love to play golf, so if it was up to me, I would have a tee time. But it's all good. We're here. We got a job to do, so that's what I'm doing.
And first fight of 2024, what kind of kept you out? What was going on during that time?
I don't know. I would have to talk to some people above me because I've been trying to get a fight since probably. I was asking for like March or April, and I kind of got put off. They kind of told me just to kind of keep ready, and I just couldn't understand like what was going on, and I don't think I even got a matchup till like May. So I did get like a last minute like replacement call, but I was in Florida going to take my family to Disney World, and they're like, you want to fight in 2 weeks? And I'm like, and I had just fought in December, 3 or 4 weeks prior to that. So it just was kind of tough. I wasn't able to take that fight, but I don't know if that stopped anything. I don't know, but it's kind of out of my control at that point. So we're here now, and that's all that matters.
Is it hard to stay motivated when you don't have a fight on the horizon?
Yeah. Not necessarily motivated as in the sense to like, do well. I think what's hard is when you're in this like roller coaster where you're like, stay ready. And for me, it's hard to really stay at a low weight for months at a time. Like you kind of like, all right, we'll get something. And then you start to get discouraged. And then you're like, man, I was like, dude, like I'm dieting, I'm working out, I'm training hard. And if you go full blast, like you're in a training camp, a long time, your body's going to give out on you at some point. So, yeah, that's kind of like where I struggled a little bit. And then once we got, word of that we have a fight, or just really, really focused on like that May timeline where we were going to get a matchup, I was able to kind of like just take almost like a week off, not necessarily a week off as far as like as hard as I was training, but it was just more in the sense that like I needed to let my body just recover because I put myself through hell in camp. So that's probably what happened.
When you finally got that call, what were your first thoughts about the opponent?
There's a lot of choice, kind of. So I was kind of confused on who I was fighting. I thought I was gonna fight, a different Choi. Then I finally looked up this guy, and he seems like he's been in the UFC for quite some time. I think he has like 9 fights or something like that in the UFC or something. And so I saw him kind of up and down, has really great performances. When he's on, he's on. You know what I mean? And then he's had, his losses in too. So not exactly what I wanted to hear. I wanted something probably a little bit closer to like the ranking. But at that point, I've been kind of like not really hearing a matchup, and I finally get a matchup, so I jumped on it.
What kind of fight are you expecting from him overall? Are you expecting like an easy fight from him? Do you think it's going to go 3 rounds?
No, this guy, he's a gamer. So like even when you hurt him, he's going to come charging at you, and those are the ones that are kind of most dangerous. They'll come at you, and they feel like in the moment, they're the most like vulnerable moments, especially when you feel like you might have your way. So by all means, he won't be an easy fight. At least to my personal opinion. But he's beatable. It's been proven. I can go in there and get the job done. I've been doing it, the last couple fights, and so that's my job on Saturday, to go out there and do exactly that.
You said in a previous interview that he goes to the well a little bit too much. Do you remember saying that? I'm just curious what that means exactly.
he just has certain techniques, and we all do. We all have certain techniques that we are really good at, and when you know that, you're like, man, that shot normally hurts people. You know what I mean? But when you do it too much, it can be kind of a downfall because then you expect it, and so for your opposition, it can be kind of tough. But nonetheless, if you got a weapon, if I have a gun, I'm gonna shoot it. You know what I mean? So that's kind of all I meant by that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks for taking the time, my man.
yeah, man, for sure.
Besides that desert heat, because it's we're a different kind of desert.
You guys a different breed.
How's that? How's Vegas treating you? Did you get to do any hiking, walking, Mount Charleston, acclimation? Like elevation. Did you use the PI at all? How was Vegas for you?
Well, I train at elevation, so I'm in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So we just walk around about like 5,500 feet, anyways, down there. And then on the weekends, my family has a cabin up in the mountains, and so we go all the way up there and we train up to about 9,400 feet above sea level. So it's elevation is definitely not necessarily an issue in Albuquerque, but as far as the heat, y'all are a different breed, man. It's different. It's different out here. So I give you guys props. And it's also been hot in Albuquerque. It's probably been about between 101, 103. But you guys, I think today are like, what, 109? I mean, you guys, shoot, man. Cooking my eggs outside.
You mentioned with Amy about taking the family, like on a little vacation, and those things are just kind of recharge you. They're therapeutic. Like you mentioned the golf. How was that little trip with the? I mean, it sucks that you weren't able to take the fight.
Yeah.
But how was that trip with the family?
For like 30 minutes there, I was like kind of messed up because I wanted to fight. You know what I mean? It was against a tough opponent. It was against Danny Ige. I think Andre Philly ended up stepping in and fighting. But when you want to fight like that, you know what I mean? That's really going to test you, and it can really do well for your career. If you do well, especially against a guy like that, I think it would definitely elevate your game. Saying no to that was kind of difficult, but I tried not to let it because it was literally the first day that I had gotten to Florida and just trying to like enjoy Disney World. You know what I mean? And I've never been there either, so I wanted to make sure I enjoyed it. So being able to take them was a blessing. Going out there, seeing my son just like have the time of his life out there and stuff. It was 100% worth it. So I'm still happy about the decision I made.
That's awesome, man. Thank you for sharing
Yeah,
that great
for sure.
moment with the family. Family first. That's always what's gonna bring everything home. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't, regardless of the outcome, I wouldn't mind a you and Ige fight because that guy's a
Yeah.
legend now. I'm sure you heard what he did stepping in on
Yeah.
a minute's notice, right?
Well, let's go talk to some people about it. Maybe we can make that happen.
Right, man. When you have an opponent who's game, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
But I'm really curious when you mentioned he goes to the well a lot. So do you guys kind of study, if you study the game plan or like the team does the tape, do you look for these habits and say, okay, this is something that I know he's going to do and I'm for sure going to capitalize and make that read like during the fight and just catch him slipping?
Yeah, when you're in there, it's 1,000 miles an hour, 100%. You're going in there, it's way faster. So to say that like you can 100% prepare for it, you can prepare for it, but it's never to the fullest extent of what it's like in there. We don't have pads on. We don't have like any sort of restrictions in the cage. You know what I mean? It makes it way more difficult to really, really just like see a shot coming when they're so good at it. You know what I mean? It just makes it challenging. But I have Greg Jackson and Mike Winklejohn in my corner at all times, and they really just point everything out that they notice. And they've cornered thousands of fights, so I trust their judgment, and they're the ones that really help me come up with a game plan so that we can be victorious that day or whatever.
And how amazing is that? I mean, it's not something new. You've been doing this for some time, but you mentioned those names, and they're synonymous with John Jones, Diego Sanchez, Holly Holm. That's just crazy.
Yeah.
Just from a fan point of view, but also a professional athlete such as yourself, to have people like that to just guide you and mentor you, you can't get a better team around you than that, right?
No, their experiences with champions, their experiences with some of the best guys at the best level, and man, just like having them in your corner is almost like having like an extra arm or something. You know what I mean? It gives you, it's almost like an additional sense of like confidence, regardless on what's going on. You know what I mean? If they're calling something out, then I totally believe them, and I trust them, and I've had them in my corner for many fights, and I've also had them without it, and oh my God, man, like it's day and night. The duo between the two of Greg and Wink is almost unmatched. Like I've been, like I said, I've had fights without both of them in the corner, and I've had fights with both of them in, and every single time, like I've had them both when I've had them both in my corners, they mesh well, they sync well. Like you can just tell, like it's just the gel that like people don't usually have in the corner. It gets pretty chaotic in there, and it's just they almost like it's the opposite of that. They just know how to like calm everything down, and not make it a storm as much anymore.
Oh, absolutely. You see a fighter walking in with those two guys, you might as well be on the field with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. To
Yeah,
win.
sure.
And
Yeah.
thank you for bringing that up, because some corners that I'm watching the fights, it's just chaos.
Yeah.
One person's talking, the other person's talking over him. The fighter's just trying to catch his breath. And shout out to those two guys, because they
Yeah.
are cool and calm, and you kind of feed off of that. And I'm sure
Yeah.
it even helps you catch your breath, for crying out loud.
No, it's nice because while I'm mainly focused, I mean they kind of just reiterate, just breathe, and most people are pretty good about that. But then when you start getting that advice, it's almost like, who do I listen to? You know what I mean? And that makes it challenging. But with them, it's if it's like ground, like it's more like grappling, clinching, stuff like that. They both are very well of each other's games, but like Greg, where he feels like he's strongest in, he takes over for however long he expects. Like he needs to be whatever needs to be addressed, I should say. And then he's like, "All right, big bro, what do you got to say?" You know what I mean? And then I hear him, and then it's like, okay, so it's clear cut. And then sometimes they'll have to like make me say what they were just telling me, because sometimes I'm just looking over there trying to make sure that like just checking on him. I'm like, all right, is he coming out? Like, what's going on? But man, they keep you in the fight.
That's awesome, man. And last for me, just that sense of like that relief that you're back in here.
Yeah.
I know 2024 might not have started off as exactly as you wanted to, but how well is it to be here? You're talking to us, get it on track, and really just kill it for the second half of the year and get back to where you want to be.
Yeah, man, it's difficult. This is how I provide for my family. You know what I mean? This is me doing my part. My wife, she's amazing. She's brilliant. She holds it down when I'm not there. But not having a fight for X amount of time definitely does, a toll. And yeah, man, I'm happy to be back in here and just be able to like, one, just make sure that like I'm doing my part, as a man, as a husband, as a father, because ultimately they come first. You know what I mean? You've been seeing all these victories, not just because of my legacy, not because of my fighting, but it's because like I have to. Like I put everything in perspective. Like my family comes first. Like they're gonna get fed. They are gonna get everything that they need at anybody's expense, in a sense, especially when it comes to my job. And so, with that being said, I respect the sport. I understand that there's one winner, one loser. I've been on both ends, but when you win, you get two checks. You know what I mean? I've been trying to put stamps on every single one of my fights, hoping to get a bonus, that 50K bonus. I've gotten one, you know what I mean? So I'm still trying to I'm just trying to give the opportunity and be able to capitalize on that, if that makes sense, and financially change my family's life. That's the truth.
Yes, sir. Well, I can't respect that enough. Amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Good luck on Saturday. Get them checks and take them to another Disney trip.
That'll be a good plan. Thank you, man.
Steve,
Yeah.
in addition to the compliments you gave your coaches, who or what is the key to your success when it comes to striking? Because the last time you went to decision was 2020.
Yeah.
The rest of your fights just all been finishes. So
Yeah.
who would you give, or what would you give the compliment to for your key to success in striking?
I mean, ultimately, I got to give Coach Wink his praise. He really just oversees so much of it. I've worked with my boxing coach. He really doesn't have a gym anymore, but his name is Danny Romero, and he was a world champion in boxing. You can go back and look at him. He's amazing. Him and Johnny Tapia were the top two guys in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And so I really got my hands going with Danny, and then because obviously we do MMA, Wink definitely knows how to put things together. But ultimately, I feel like we're all gifted with certain things. Some people have the gift of just like going out there and just being able to strangle somebody really well. You know what I mean? I feel like I have power in my hands. I feel like I have a lot of different things, and I've always tried to capitalize on that. Jackson's is also has changed and developed over the time. Back in the day, we didn't have like a lightweight class and a heavyweight class. It was just one big class. So my style has also changed with the fact of us having a lightweight class and a heavyweight class. Because I used to be the little guy that would have to like, I'd call it hit and run, because like I'd fight all these bigger guys, and you know I'd hit and I'd just run away. You know what I mean? But now that we separated, I can actually be like who I am, and we saw a few different things, made some tweaks to my old style, and now you got Steve 2.0.
Will you go the boxing route after your UFC career?
Hey man, I think it's pretty obvious, but any of us fighters will go the boxing route if the money's right. So, if the money's right, you might see me there. You know.
Steve, so before your recent run, other than the Charlie Ontiveros win, I feel like we really didn't get to see the real Steve Garcia in the octagon. So,
Sure.
How important was that for you to be able to do that before you ran out of time?
I'm sorry. I guess I kind of don't understand the question.
It's just like we've seen you at your best in other promotions, but the UFC is kind of a different platform, different
Okay.
fans. And before your last 3-fight run, I feel like a lot of people didn't really see the real Steve Garcia.
Yeah.
So what did it feel just to be able to go in there and show, hey, this is how good I am, this is the potential I really have?
Yeah, man. So like most of y'all probably know, I'm under the radar, man. Like I keep it low, man. I keep it low. Probably not the best for my career financially, and I guess popularity. I don't do it for that though. I welcome the likes and the follows and all those things, but that's not why I do it for. You know what I mean? I do it, one, to provide for my family, and two, I'm a man of faith, man. I feel like God has is in certain places in times of our lives, and when I started my career, it all led down this path, and I just knew, I was like, all right, cool. Well, then this is the route that I'm going. And even the times there's moments where like I'm like, if I can't beat this guy, I need to retire. I need to be done. And me and my wife have had those conversations. And when we got to that point, I would just go and just demolish through these guys. And I'm like, all right, man. Well, let's keep pushing further. Let's keep pushing further. And now we're here in the UFC. We're on a three-fight win streak, 3 finishes, 4 finishes in the UFC, 5 if you include the Contender Series, or 3. I'm sorry, I don't even know how many finishes, but I'm winning, and I'm winning in spectacular fashion. I'm just trying to really, really raise that bar for myself and just become undeniable at this point. And the people that I fought outside of this were actually very good. I mean, I fought right before I got in the UFC. I fought Chepe Martiscal, who's doing well in here too. You know what I mean? I fought talented guys, and it makes me happy beating those guys because they're doing well in the UFC as well. So it's not a chip on my shoulder, but it's proving to myself more and more every single time I go in there how good I can be, and it's really elevating my confidence.
And so last question for me, with the window of opportunity being so small in MMA,
Yeah.
do you think this is your prime right now? And how do you really make that like thought in your mind? Like, this is the best I'm going to be. I got to go right now next couple years.
That's how I feel. You pretty much hit the nail on the head right there. This is my final push. You know what I mean? I've been doing this since I was 15 years old. I've had wars. I've had a lot of victories, a lot of finishes, a lot of downfalls, a lot of roller coaster moments in this game, and it's it's to be expected in this sport. The sport is unforgiving, but I do feel like I'm in my prime. I feel like I can make a solid push going up. Almost everybody they've given me, I've been able to take head on, and so Saturday I have a tall task ahead of me. People are sleeping on this guy. He's good, but I'm better, and I believe that I'm better. And when I go in there, you're gonna see why. You're gonna see why. And like I said, anything can happen, no doubt, but I just believe in myself, man.
Thank you for your time. Good luck.
Thank you. Good. Thank you, guys.